Well, welcome back to another installment in my riveting series. Last time we talked about this Arbor press and what you can do to make your own rivet press out of one of them. I posted the videos up, and in my pinside thread, my good friend Mark commented on how to get around the height restriction on this press. If you remember last time, we only had about a 1 inch height we could rivet from without putting a spacer in. And Mark commented that he had put I believe a 3/8 piece of all thread in there that made it adjustable, and you could actually raise that height up and down in lieu of using the actual tool from Hanson Rivet. So I think this week what we're going to do is we're going to modify this press, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll compare the same ramps again and see how much that helped us out. By the way, Mark is Free Play 40 on Pinside. He also makes ramps, and he makes a lot of really good ramps that are very popular, including Genesis, High Speed. He has Judge Dredd. He even has the full set of Radical ramps. So if you want to contact him, you can hop on Pinside, and his username's FreePlay40, and he also has a thread called the FreePlay40 ramp thread. And you can also get a hold of him at freeplay40@yahoo.com. So check him out. He makes great stuff. He's good friends with me, and we make sure we don't double up on anything that we're making. So we can cover more ramps. So it works out really well. So let's go ahead and start on this and see what we can do today. So the first thing we want to do is we need to spot where this new hole is going to go. If you remember before, on this side, I just lowered this down and drew a circle around it. So we're going to do that again over on this segment, because I want to make it so that I can still use the other style if I want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this up on the next segment over and just draw a circle around it. And now that we have that, what we can do is use a center punch. Now this is a hole spotting punch, but it's actually, you could use a regular old center punch. You can get these sets at Harbor Freight for a song. Find one that's close to that size, line it up, look like we're right in the middle here, and then center punch. We're going to move this out a little bit. Ta-da! So that'll give us a spot to start drilling our hole. Here in the Ramp-O-Matic shop, I just have a benchtop drill press. It's not super powerful, but it works well for most of what I'm doing. But what we're going to do here, we're kind of at the limit of what it can handle. So we're going to make do with what we have, and we're going to drill and tap this hole out. We're going to do a little Johnny Machine Shop work, and hopefully you'll learn some tips on drilling and tapping if you're not familiar with that as well. So let's take a little closer look. So we got a little more close-up view here, and what I'm going to do is, if you see this pin sticking out of the bottom here, it just happens that I can just put it in that slot there, and it'll get my center punch mark right over the hole in the drill press. So let me line that up just a little bit better and tighten her down, because we don't want this moving once we have it all clamped up. So I have this little pointer. It's actually something I ground down. There we go. And all it is just something to show me center of the drill chuck. So I'm going to chuck this up in here, snug it up. And I'm going to use a vice grip to clamp this down, one of these clamping style ones with the flat faces. It helps if you preset this ahead of time so that you have it a nice tight bite on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this down onto my center punch mark, hold it there, and then attach my clamp. Move that back just a minute here. You always, when you're drilling metal, you always want to clamp when you're in a drill press, because if drill bit catches and spirals, you're going to be wearing it more likely than not, or might tear your hand up, might hit you in the chest, might hit you in the face. It's bad news. So always clamp it down. No ifs, ands, or buts. Even with plastic, sometimes plastic's even worse. But anyway, safety first on that one. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill this out. Now I think what I'm gonna do is actually drill this out smaller, since this is like a low horsepower drill press. I need all the help I can get, so I'm gonna drill this out like an 1/8 inch maybe, and then go back through and get to my finished size. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you about how an easy way to figure out what size tap drill you need for your tap. Sometimes you don't have the chart in front of you. I know, we got an encyclopedia that we carry around in our pockets in the form of a cell phone, but this is a little bit of a machine shop knowledge for you that you might find useful. So let's check out that, and then we'll come back to this. So we're going to learn a super handy skill today, and that is to figure out what size tap drill you need when you're tapping. So if you don't have a tap drill chart with you and you don't feel like consulting the internet, this is the easiest way to do it. This is for 75% thread, which is basically everything out there. Your tap drill indexes are going to give you the same exact drill sizes. So in our case today, we're doing a 3/8/16 thread. So 3/8 16, and 3/8 is 0.375 of an inch. And what you want to do is take 1 over the number of threads. So in this case, it's 1/16, and 1/16 is 62 thousandths. So you want to subtract 62 thousandths, and that equals 5/16. So the tap drill for a 3/8/16 is a 5/16 drill bit. Okay, so you want to do 1/4 same deal. You take 1/4 is 250. 1 over 20 is 50 thousandths equals 0.200. So you go in your drill index and you find the closest to that, which usually it's 201, and that's plenty close enough. So this is freedom units. It even works for metric. So, and this is even easier. Metric 6 by 1.5. Well, you subtract 1.5 from the 6 and you get 4.5. You want a 4.5 millimeter drill for an M6 by 1.5. Super easy. It's something that, hopefully it sticks with you and you can impress your friends or whatever, but it's just something handy I learned when I was in school, and I'm passing it along to you guys, and hopefully it'll help you out someday. Well, now that you've been enlightened with the tap drilling knowledge and size finding knowledge, we're going to come back and we're going to drill this out with the 1/8 inch drill. Now keep in mind, this is cast iron. You don't lubricate cast iron when you're drilling and tapping. Cast iron actually has graphite embedded in it, and the chips when you're tapping can actually cause the teeth on the tap to break if you use lube, so we don't want to do that. So I'm gonna turn this down to like, I don't know, 900, that looks pretty good. Let's drill this guy out. There's hole number 1. Now we're going to come back with our 5/16 drill and open that hole up the rest of the way. We're going to slow that down a little bit more. This is about 550 RPMs. There we go. That actually didn't do too bad. I haven't done a lot of heavy metal drilling on this this benchtop drill press, so it's mainly just light work. But actually, I'm kind of pleased with that. Now, next we're going to come back here and lightly chamfer our hole. And what that's going to do is help guide the tap in better. If you have a lead in, it tends to not be as hard to get the tap started, and it gives you a nicer finish. You don't pull that first thread up. These you want to run nice and slow. There we go. Got a nice little chamfer there. Now for the next step, I had to move this table down because I didn't have enough clearance here. So what you can do is, since this is now moved, because this can move either way, chuck your drill bit back up in here, and you can use that to realign yourself back with the hole. And then we'll clamp her down. Now we're ready to put some threads in here. I have these tap sockets. There's a number of ways you can do this, but these tap sockets are really handy. What they do is, I got a little O-ring in there, and they have the hex, the square drive from the tap machined into them, and it'll hold the tap nicely. Now you can use a 3/8 inch ratchet or a T-handle to drive this. So here's this T-handle. It's actually even got a hole in it, which is like perfect for what we're doing. And we're going to use this to center the tap up to get us started, at least nice and straight. So we're not tapping like this or like this. That's how you break taps more often than not, or you have screwed up holes. Is from the tap and the hole not being in line with each other. So I have just enough room with my little center bit here. If you have a drill press that has enough room between the table and your chuck, you can get what's called a spring-loaded tap center to put in here, and it has a little spring-loaded point on the end of it, and you can just set this, lock your quill down, and that'll keep you nice and centered. Right now, I'm going to have to turn this while holding the handle, and just to keep tension on it to keep everything centered up. It works either way, but on these taps, you don't have to back up. You can just go straight through. It's gun tap. And we're just going to run this tap down through. Now, once you get a couple threads in, you don't necessarily have to hold the chuck down on it. It'll guide itself. In fact, now my piece just moved, so we could actually use that to straighten it back up. But I don't think it'll be necessary. We can just run this tap the rest of the way. And you see how nice and easy that is? That's because our tap is square and our hole is square, and the tap will go right in. Now, if you have like the 4-fluted taps from like the cheap sets from Harbor Freight or an auto parts store or Amazon, I do not take any responsibility for what happens. I buy really good taps just because of, in the machine shop, you bust a tap off in something, that could really ruin your day. You have a very expensive part ruined. So it's worth it to buy good taps from like Greenlee, Rife and Nestor, those kinds. I think Kennametal makes them. Those are good taps that last you a long time. But they also, the price kind of goes with it too. Don't worry about getting anything Cobalt or anything like that. That's just marketing. This is a good old high-speed steel tap. Works great. It'll probably outlast you for the hobbyist. But there we go. We got a nice straight tapped hole. Ready to go. So Mark had the good idea to use this piece of all thread. It's a 3/8/16 all thread. And what you can do is cut a piece of it off and then put like a 1/4 inch or 5/16 inch divot in the top, so that the rivet head has a place to sit, which would be just like the insert from Hanson Rivet. And then you can actually take it like on a belt sander and cone it in a little bit. And then I got to thinking, right here is a 3/8/16 long set screw. So if you have a hardware store nearby that's pretty well stocked, you might find one of these. And specifically, this one has a smooth cup head, okay? And just so happens, let's see if we can see this, 1/8 inch rivet fits in that cup head perfectly. So you don't have to do anything. So I'm going to thread this guy in here. I'm going to put a little jam nut on here. Actually, we're not going to put it on the top. Let's put it on the bottom, because we want all that extra clearance. I'm going to put this in here. Put our little jam nut on there. And now, look at that extra clearance. We only had 1/8 of an inch, or 1 inch clear, or 1 inch before. This is the old one. See how much higher we are now? And that is like all the difference you need to be able to set rivets on just about any ramp flap, regardless of the depth. You're still going to have trouble in some of the tight places, like the real deep ones, but this will help you out significantly. Now let's revisit some of these ramps here. The Rufio ramp, now you're going to have no problem getting these two. No problem with the entrance, okay? You have to adjust this up just a little bit more for some of these. This Maverick ramp, we're going to catch those now without having to deform anything, you know? And you can adjust this up even farther, because now you've got all the way up to here. So you could actually put a big piece of all thread in here, get way up here, and catch a lot more of these ramp flap rivets and brackets and whatnot. So that right there is just a great little fix for this press to make it more versatile. You still might run into some situations where you need the hand riveter, but right there, that's a pretty cheap fix. And I haven't checked the prices lately, but I think you can get these these Arbor presses at Harbor Freight for, like, I think normal price is $79. You get there on a coupon weekend, you probably get it down close to $55-60. And then the top rivet setter, I think they're like $20 to $30. And now you don't need a bottom one, you just need a piece of all thread for, you know, a couple bucks. And if you have your taps and stuff, if you have some things in your shop, that's all you're going to need. And you know, you can pretty much have one of these for about $100. So it's not a bad tool to have in the arsenal. With all the tools and everything that I used here, I'm going to put links in the description. They're not affiliate links or anything like that, so don't feel like you're doing me any favors clicking on them and buying from them at this point. But it'll give you a reference on, you know, what you're looking for, and then you can find the best place to buy it. But hopefully you find that helpful. And if you have any more tips for this press or any of the other presses that I've discussed, drop me a line, shoot me a comment. Hope you like and subscribe to my channel, and we'll keep exploring some more uses for this rivet press outside of ramps. So until next time, we'll catch you later, and thanks for stopping in.